going to be colouring a colouring page from Magical Dawn by Hanna Karlzon. I have printed this on Xpress at blending card because markers do go through on the pages. I didn't want to do it in the book, and it's very hard to blend on that type of paper as well. So I'm using Copic markers. I have got a little bit of pencil, some white gel pen there as well. Hope you enjoy this tutorial. Just wanted to quickly mention that I have used some Stabilo chalk pencils in this as well. Okay, so we are going to start off with our skin first. So I'm starting with E04 and I'm just going around all of the shadow sides of the face. Now, the direction of the light will be coming directly from her face, so from the front of her face. So I'm doing the shadows behind all of the things that would be casting a cast shadow there. So that's what I'm doing now. And just while I'm doing that, I just want to thank all the people that have subscribed. I was quite happy with having 100 subscribers this week, and I know it's only a small milestone, and I do hope it to build up a bigger subscriber base. But I'm just very grateful for the ones that have subscribed already, and I just want to thank you for your support. So you'll notice here that I am just doing certain parts of the shadows here. So I'm just picking the areas that would cast the most shadow on the skin, because it is just jewelry, and unless you're sitting really close up you wouldn't notice the shadow as much on there. So I've only picked a certain spots to put the deeper shadows into. I've also added a shadow underneath her chin there because she's leaning forward. Her chin's more forward than the rest of anything else there, so it would cast a shadow on her neck, so I've just done that too. And I'm just doing around the facial features, the eyes and the nose and a little bit of the mouth there. So after markers, I'm actually going to use some Stabilo chalk pencils to get a really good depth and nice facial features with those. So I will be using those today as well. So I'm just coming in now with E11 and I've just blended out the previous colour a little bit further towards the white areas. Not too far out, just a small way there. So I'm coming in and blending that out with E21 and I'm just bringing it a little bit further out into the highlight area. So the highlight area is anywhere that the shine or the light source would be reflecting on the skin. So places like the tip of the nose and the forehead there, because they're directly facing the light, on her cheeks, things like that would be showing a bit of highlight. I'm starting to shape and make forms on the face as well so that we can see there'll be more depth just below her cheekbone there and things like that. Still using E21 and just blending that out further. So now I'm going to bring that even further out. I'm going to use E00 to do that. And I'm going to fill out most of the face with this colour. I am going to leave the highlight sections that I want to leave the lightest. So I've now got E000 and I'm just going to do all of those highlight areas. So from the highlight area I'm going to spread this out over the remainder of the colour as well, so we get a nice even blend. So I'm going to just do the cheek area with a little bit of blush. So I'm using R20 to do that. I'm just going to flick it out towards the middle there, just shaping the cheek and putting in that cheekbone. I'm going to blend it out with E000 just to blend it nicely with the remainder of the skin. Just to let you know too, there's actually an image printed on the back of this that was a mistake. So I've reused the paper, and that's what you can actually see when I do wet the paper there. It doesn't come through on the finished product, it is just while the ink's wet you can see it. So now I'm coming in with the dark colours again to do the shadow, so I'm redefining those shadows. I'm using E04. Coming back in with E11 now and just blending that out. Now I've got E00 and I'm just blending that out further. Not really worried about going over those highlight areas too much. I'm just trying to leave a little bit there. And I'm going to bring in that E000 and just go over the whole lot again there. Now I wasn't satisfied that I was getting enough depth and that the skin was smooth enough and things like that. So I actually just decided to put in the Stabilo chalk pencils. So I am going to go to them next. I'm just bringing in some more pink tones, so I'm using R000 just to come in some places that I wanted to add a little bit more colour and depth as well. Just got E000, I'm just going over the top of that to blend it out a bit. At this stage I wasn't sure what colour the hair was going to be, so I just went over with the colourless blender just to get rid of some of that colour out of the other areas. I'm just bringing in some V000. I just want to put a bit of colour into her face, so I'm going to use that to go in and do that. And then I'm going to bring in some more E000 just to blend that out a bit further. Now the back of the neck there, I did have issues with the paper, so the print did come through there. It was a dark print on the other side, so it did cause some, it almost looks like scaling there, but you can't really tell once I finish the picture. So with things like that, you could make a mistake or put something in the wrong place and things like that, but you could always fix it up with something else, or you can make it a mistake that's meant to happen, which is what I call them. So we finished the skin there, but I'm just going to go in a little bit deeper on a couple of these areas here. I'm trying to build up some shape and depth into her cheeks and her neck and things like that. So this is why I'm bringing in the chalk pastels or chalk pencils later, because I really wanted to give it, really make it look more realistic. So I'm just blending that E11 out now with E21. It is starting to take shape now. I've got E00 again and blending that out further. And then I've got some E000 again, and I'm just going over the whole lot there, just to blend it in a bit more smoothly. Got R000 again, just deepening underneath the cheek there and creating a little bit more of a hollow. And I'm going to blend it out with E00 and then E000 again. So I'm going to deepen up a little bit more. This is E00 again. Just going over lightly over the highlight areas as well. I've got a bit of R20 there again, just to deepen up that edge bit. I'm blending that out with E000. Just in a couple of layers of E000 there and let it dry. I've got the Stabilo chalk pencils here. I'm using 670, and I'm just doing around the dark areas of the face to deepen up those shadows and smooth the paper out a little bit there as well. I'm bringing in number 681, and I'm just going to blend this out into the highlight areas. I tried to put it on my finger there, but it is easier to scratch it off onto the page or to use the pencil straight onto the page and then rub it in with your finger. So I'm just randomly choosing areas of light that I want to blend more into the darker sections and just smoothing it over with my finger. Anywhere that there was the tone wasn't quite right, I've fixed it up with this one, and I'm going to come in with a lighter colour again as well. I'm coming in with number 680 now, and I'm going to go a little bit further out from these darker areas. And I've got an even lighter cream colour now, which is 105, and I'm just going over some of the highlight areas. So the cream and the pinky colour that I had are my lighter flesh tones. So I'll put them in the highlight areas or put them in the darker areas to create more highlight. Then I'm going to use 311, which is like a red carmine colour, and I'm just going to put a little bit of this on the as eyeshadow, a little bit of blush as well. I'm going to blend it out with that lighter peach colour. So just lightly putting it on, and then I'm just smudging it out with my finger. You could use a cotton bud or cotton ball or something like that as well. So I've got 335, which is a little bit darker than the previous red, and I'm just going further into this eye here, just creating a little bit more of an eyeshadow colour. So I'm bringing in 365, it's a little bit darker, it's like a magenta colour. I'm just creating more eyeshadow there. Try and put a little bit on my finger there. If not, I'll just scratch it off and rub it in. I've got 655 there, and I'm just going to do some of the lips here. So I'm just filling out the darker areas with this. I'm bringing in that 311 again, and I'm just going over the top of the previous colour. I'll just blend it out with my fingers. And I've got some of the yellower coloured flesh here as well. I'll put a little bit of the pink in too. So I'm just alternating between the colours to get the look that I want. So go darkest to lightest and blend it out. Don't forget that it is a chalk pencil, so it does leave a lot of dust. So I'm using my duster just to dust that off as I go. I'm just using the same colours now to create the same effect down where the jewellery is sitting as well. So starting from the darkest colour, going out to the lightest one, and I'm just smudging that in with my finger as I go. So you don't have to have chalk pencils, you might have pastels, you just need to have similar colours, so a darker reddish brown, some reds and pinks, and a cream and a yellow and a light pink colour. Now I have done that, I have left a lot of dust around the outside of the face and the body now. So I'm going to go over with my electric eraser and I'm just going to get rid of that using that, and then I'll just brush off the dust then. I'm just going to put some white gel pen in the highlight areas now. So we're going to start with the gems on the necklace down here. So I'm using B69 first, and I'm going to create some prism sort of lines through the inside of the square. So I'll start in the middle of the square and I will come out and create like a star shape inside that. And I'm also doing some of the outside edges as well. I've got some RV66 and I'm just putting this in little sections all over and bringing a few more lines out to the wider side again now, closest to the light. Still creating like a star shape in the middle. I'm going to use a lighter blue now, which is B16, and I'm just going to do the same thing, just spreading out the colour all around the gem and also bringing some streaks out from the middle from the star shape there. I have some BVO2 and I'm just filling in some of the white spots there on the gem, on the sides there and in the middle of the gem there. Okay, so I'm going to use a white pen to go over it and create some sparkle effects and some light reflections off that. I'm just going to create some diagonal lines across the top of the gem just to show light spreading across there, and then I'm just going to wipe them off so they're kind of smudged across the top of it there. The thing about the white gel pen is that you can scratch it off after you've put it on. So once I've placed it on, if I don't like it, I can just scratch it off with my finger and redo it again. So it is good because if you do make a mistake and you don't like it, I'll just wait for it to dry and then I'll just scratch it off with my nail. So I'm going to start with these ones down the bottom here. I'm using that B69 again. These ones will be a little bit darker because they're a little bit further away from the light source as well, being down further on her neck. So I'm still creating that star shape from the middle. I'm going to come in with that RV66 and I'm just going to put a little bit on the edges and also bring a couple of stripes out from the middle as well. Bring that B16 back in again and I'm going to put some little stripes out from the middle again and just blotch a little bit around the edges of the square as well. I'm just going to use some B00 on the bottom of this one to fill out the edges. And I'm just going to do the same thing that I did on the top gems in here, just creating some diagonal lines across, doing a few patches of white on the sides and up the top of it as well, just to create the look that the light is shining off it. So I want to create a little bit of a square inside these other square gems. So I'm going to use a lead pencil and just draw myself a square inside of each of those little squares. I'm going to use B16 and I'm just going to line around each of those. So I'm doing lining around each of the squares that I just drew on. I'm bringing in VO4 and I'm going to go around the um, outside of those squares. So I'm just doing all the way around the square boxes that were already there. Just putting in a little bit of colour from that. So the hair is actually going to be a reddy purple colour. That's why I'm putting this violet pink colour into them. Now I have some RV66 and I'm just going to put a small amount into the cross in the middle of each of those smaller squares. So I'm just lining over the top of the cross that was already there. So I've got B00 and I'm going to go and fill out the rest of the square with this. So just dabbing it on to each of those white spots in there. I'm going to bring in B69 again and I'm just going to do a little dot and a line on each of the squares just to bring that darker colour in, give it a little bit of depth. So the light will be shining on the left side, so I've just popped a little dot on the right side of most of those there. And I've just done a little line out from the middle like we have the star shape on the bigger ones. So I've just brought that into that side as well. So I'm just going to put some white gel pen in there. I'm going to just line these top ones here with a little bit on the edge. But where I've put the darker line and the cross there, in between that, I've put the white glint off it, and I've also put a diagonal stripe across the middle. So I've put a little glint or a triangle of the white on the left side of it, and then I've put some diagonal lines directly across the middle of it, and then a little one on the top there as well. So you can see as I go along here, I'm doing the little section at the front, I'm doing the diagonal cross, and then another little cross up the top there. I'm just putting a little star shape on some of the diamonds as well, just flicking little lines outwards from a circular dot just to show there's a reflection of light there. And I've just mixed that up and put them all over. So I'm just going to bring in some C5, and on these round pearly type things here, I'm going to put a half moon shape or a backward C shape in here, and I'm going to then do a line on the outside edge as well. So the light's shining on the left side, so we want that lighter, but I'm also going to put a back reflection on the back of it as well. So the grey line is helping to separate and show that it's rounded. And I just blended that out too with C1. I'm going to use the white pencil. I'm using Prismacolor white because that's what I had there. And I'm just putting in the reflection of light on the back and also on the front there. I'm going to use a white gel pen later on just to brighten this up a bit. Just coming back in with the C5, and I'm just marking on the strap of the necklace the darker shaded parts. And I'm just going to blend that out now with C1. And I'm just going to add a little bit of it on the corners of each of the larger gems as well, because some of the silver is holding the gem in. And I'm also going to do the ball underneath those gems as well, fill in some white there as well. Just using a C5, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing on those smaller beads as well, and on the rope between the beads. I've got the white pencil there, and I'm just putting this on all the highlight areas of the small beads. Just got the white gel pen there just to brighten up those highlight areas and create a bit of a sparkle on the beads. I'm just going to do the dangly earring now. I've done the beads already with the grey, so I'm just filling out some white in those. I'm going to do some of this grey and some of it blue like the jewels, because the light will be reflecting from the front. Uh, the left side's going to be a little bit lighter than the right side of everything. So I'm using C5 on the darker areas now. I'm going to blend them out with C3 and then C1. And I'm using the white pencil just to lighten off those edge pieces there. I'm using B69 and I'm just going to line the right hand edge of the gems dangling down and also from the other jewels that I've coloured as well. So we're doing the right side because the left side is going to have the light on it. I'm just blending that out now with B66, just blending it a little bit closer to the edge of the highlight area now. I'm going to go even further out with the blending and use the B63 and just going over the top of the darker colours and blending this out further. We're just going to blend that out with the white pencil. So I've got the white gel pen and I'm just putting a line on the darker side of those gems and then a little highlight line on the left side as well. So putting one on the right side just shows the light reflecting around the gem there, so I'm putting it on that side as well. So we're going to start on the hair now. I'm starting with RV99 and I'm going to go in and line all of the areas of hair that are laying across other areas of hair. So these will be my little sections of hair that I will work with. So as you can see here, the line crosses over the other lines, which means that the hair is laying over the top of it. And here there's another one. So just here on this piece here, it's crossing over the hair, and at the bottom there it's crossing over. So I'm just going to line all of these areas in first. So now I've done those, I'm going to come in with the same colour and I'm going to go around all of the things that are laying on top of her hair, and I'm just going to line all of that now. So this will be the cast shadow from the items that are sitting on her hair. Now I'm going to start to put some little strands in the hair. So where there's dips in the hair, or where the hair curves and comes up, I will put some lines just in where the curve is, and then just spread them out further. And from all of the shadow areas, we're going to just bring in little lines in towards the other side of the shadow area. So I'm coming from the top part here and coming round and curving that with the hair, and then I'm coming back the other way. I'm not going all the way to the middle, I'm going to leave that as a gap because that will be where the highlight is on the hair. I'm going to do the same with the eyebrow here. See now where our highlight areas are going to be and where our shadow areas are. So I'm going to blend this out now. I'm using RV69 and I'm just coming over the top of the darker colour, and I'm just making those lines a little bit longer, and I'm going over the previous lines and coming in between them sometimes. So just flicking little lines out towards the highlight area. So you're doing it on one side and then you're coming back from the other side of that section. So now I've done all over that, I'm going to go over with RV66. So we're coming into the lighter pink colour now, and that means that we're coming closer to that highlight section. So I'm just going and doing exactly the same thing, doing small lines out from one way and then coming back the other way. So in these darker areas around the flowers and things like that, that should now be really dark because no light's going to be able to get between those areas. I'm going to blend this out with RV83, and I'm doing exactly the same thing, just small lines from one side, bringing them up to the highlight section and then coming back the other way. Just using some of that RV63 to go into the jewellery here, just to show a bit of reflection from her hair. Just coming back in now with RV99 just to get some more texture and to show more individual strokes on the hair there. So I'm coming back from the shadow areas and coming further out. I'm going to do this layers the same as I've done the other previous layer, so we'll just go over the top of it again. Just got some RV63 and I've just put a little bit on the lips and some more on the eyelid. I'm going to do the gems now, so I've come in with B69 and I'm just going to line the right hand side of all the gems with this. RV66, and I'm just putting a little dab of this on the bottom of each one, because this will be where the reflection of light would show the purple of her hair. I'm going to out with B66 now. Now I've got RV63, I'm putting a little bit more on the bottom there into the highlight area. And I'm going to blend this all out with B63. I'm going to leave a white spot on the left hand side. And then I'm going to come in with my gel pen and I'm going to put a line and a spot on the right hand side of each of those gems, or where the dark part of that is. I've just put a little bit of B60 in there as well to help blend that through. So the clear markers just to give that blended look. And then we've got that gel pen. So I'm just doing a line from the top and then a little dot either at the top or the bottom of it. And on the ones that are facing the opposite side, I've done the other side. Just doing all the silver parts now, so I've got C5 and I'm just going to do that half moon shape so it's not quite covering the full bottom section. There is a gap and I'm just going to bring that round. I'm doing the same C shape, a backward C shape on the little round beads there, and I'm doing on the right hand side of the pins as well. So you can see shadow on them. Now the ones on the bottom on the bottom there, those ones the shadow would be coming from a little bit of both sides, so I've just done them on the opposite side to the others because the lights are in a different spot. I'm just blending that out now with C3. And I'm just using that gel pen again just to lighten up the highlight areas on all the pins and the balls or beads. I'm just working on the flowers now. I'm going to add E15 to the shadow areas of the middle part of the flower. I'm just coming in with Y38 and blending that out further towards the top. Now we're coming in with Y15 and we're going closer towards the top again. And then the lightest colour I'm going to use is Y02, and I'm just blending this over the top of the whole area. I've got some YR68 and I'm just going to go into the creases and the shadow areas of the leaves, or the petals, sorry, of the flower. So I'm just going to follow the artist drawn lines and put in shadows into that. I'm going to blend that out now with YR65. So just going a little bit further out from the area you've just coloured, we still want to leave some highlights on the leaves. I'm coming in with YR61 and I'm blending this further out again. I'm just leaving a small amount of the area still white. Now I've got YR00 and I'm just going further into the highlight area. I'm still leaving a small amount of white on there, or gently going over that area with that colour. So it didn't quite stand out enough, so I'm coming in with the E15 and I'm just going in those shadow areas again. I'm going to go over them with the YR68. I'm going to try that YR68 over the top of the E15. And now we're going in with the Y65 to go further out into the highlight area. Still wasn't happy with that colour, so I'll come back in with the Y68 to try and darken it up a little bit. Just going to try coming over that again with the YR61. Sometimes it's just a bit of trial and error to find out what colours you want or what suits. I'm going to try and brighten it up a little bit with RVO2, and this will help with the part of the reflection light from her hair as well. Just going over that with YR00. I'm just relining that with YR68 again. Just going over the middle parts of the flower again with Y38. And then again with some Y15. And then some Y02. Just got my white pencil there, and I'm going over the highlight areas here. So still not really happy with that top flower, but I'm going to leave it for now. I'm going to go in with RVO2 and just coat all of the petals on the bottom flower now. And I'm coming in with YR68 and I'm doing all the shadow areas and the creases in the petal. Just got the Y38 and I'm just doing the inside of the middle of the flower there and any of the shadow areas. I'm blending that out now with Y15 and then I've got my Y02. Coming in with YR65 and blending the YR68 out a bit further. I did also put some white pencil on the ends of the middle parts of the flower as well. Now I'm going to blend that out with YR61. Blending that out to the highlight area now, which is YR00. To come in with some crimson red Prismacolor pencil and I'm just going to go into the shadow areas and pop a bit of this in. So it is a pinky orange colour, so I'm just trying to create a bit more depth and make those flowers stand out a bit more. I'm just going to blend that out with some white now. Just going back out now with the YR65 and just going over the top of that area. Just make sure that you do wipe off your marker if you do get a little bit of pencil on there. You don't want the marker to get clogged up. And I've come in with YR61 and I'm just going over the top of that again. Got Y38 again and I'm just going into the middle of the flowers and doing the shadow areas. I'm going to blend that out with Y13 this time. and then go over the top of that with YO2. Going over the whole flower with RVO2 again, and then I've got my red Prismacolor pencil there again, and I'm just lining in the shadow areas of that. I've got YR68 and I'm just going into the shadow areas of the petals again and putting in the line areas dark as well. Just blending that out now with YR61. I'm just going to put some white over the highlight areas of the flower. So because I'm using a fair bit of white there, I did have some white come out on the black lines and I could actually see it quite a lot. from where I was sitting. In the top flower in particular, you can see that it's kind of faded a little bit. So I'm using Zest It with a blending stick or stub to just go over the black lines, just to get rid of the white that was on them. And then once I've done that, I'm just going to go back over that with some fine black pencil and just bring those lines back in a little bit so it doesn't look so faded out. I just wanted to let you know that as I'm doing these colorings, I haven't actually planned these out or sat and practiced them first. So this is the raw version of my coloring. So I just wanted to let you know that because it is very raw, and sometimes I might, as I said, make mistakes and things like that. And I want you guys to see that because you can see that I'm learning as well, and you can see that I'm not perfect either. I do make mistakes, things do happen, so it's okay for you to do the same thing. And you know what, if you want to start your picture over again, go for it. I would suggest keeping going with it because sometimes those mistakes are fixable and sometimes you can put them into your colouring to make it look like that you've actually meant to do it. So that's exactly what creativity is. It's going in, doing something, trying it out. If you don't like it, don't do it again. So I'm coming back in now with that black pencil and I'm just deepening up those lines a little bit. I still want a fair bit of shadow into the flowers, so that's why I'm just going over them again because it is a way to create that shadow. So I'm just using a sharp Prismacolor black pencil here. You could use a fine liner or anything like that, something that will go over the pencil that you've already used though. I've just wiped the dust off there and I'm just going to continue on and finish lining these flowers. I'm going to do the littler flowers a little bit different, some different colours in there because they're smaller. I'm not even sure that they're the same type of flower anyway, so I'll just go ahead and start that in a moment. Just going to put a little bit of VO2 over the top of the highlight areas there, and then that flower will be finished. So I'm going to use some different colours in the top flowers there. So I'm starting with R17 and I'm just going to go and do around all of the middle parts of the flower first. So leave the middle stoma part, I'm going to do that yellow again, but just around that I'm just going to put in a shadow and I'm just going to line the lines that are coming out from the middle of the petal there and bring them out. So now I'm going to go over those lines with R14. So I'm just going to go over the top of the previous lines, and I'm just going to extend the colour a little bit further out the flower. So the base of the flower, or the part that's sitting inside the flower, will be darker than the rest of it. So I'm just putting that in now. So you'll notice on the next flower I'm about to do that some of the leaves are curled upwards. So what I've actually done is I've lined that darker R17 on the bottom of those flowers, and I've brought them back up towards the top. So because the bottom of the flower is facing away from the sun, I still wanted to put a little bit of highlight on that top of that leaf, so I've left that. But yeah, I've just done it dark, curved it upwards towards the top of the flower. So I'm going to blend that out with R02. I'm just going to blend it to right near the top of the flower here. So now I'm going to finish off that blend with YR00, and I'm just going to do the entire flower now. So I'm going over everything that I've already done and just bringing that colour over the top, blending out those tips so that they're nice and smooth. Now I'm coming back in with R17, and I'm just relining those shadow areas again and the lines out from the petals. Just bringing in R14 again, and I'm just redoing that area, going over the previous lines and spreading that a little bit further up the petal. And we're just blending that out again with the R02. So this is just deepening up the colour. That's why I usually do the second coat, just to give it a little bit more depth and make it a little bit brighter. So I'm bringing in R59. I wanted something a little bit darker to mark out those little dots on the petals, and I've just lined the lines as well with this colour, so just bringing in a little bit more depth on top of the previous colour and making that stand out a little bit more there. I've got some Y02 and I'm just going to fill out all of these stoma parts in the middle of the flower now, and then I'll just add in some darker colours for texture. I've got some Y13 now, and I'm just going to dab a few bits and pieces throughout the flower, just adding in some depth. I don't know if dab's a technical term, but that's what I've done there. I'm going to bring in a darker colour now. So I've got Y17, and I'm just going to do the outside areas around the little dots inside there. So just dabbing that on as well. And then I've got some Y38. I'm going to just, on each of those circles inside there, I'm just going to put a line on the right hand side of the circle, just to give it a little bit more depth there and some shadow. I'm going to repeat this on the other flowers as well. Just going to put some detail in now with the white gel pen. I'm just going to put dots on the left side of the yellow parts of the flower there, just to brighten them up and show that that's the highlight part of the flower. I'm also going to put these white dots on the tiny little spots that we did put on the flower as well. So because the darker colours behind that will still come through, but I want to put the white spots on there so they're kind of shiny, speckly, I guess. So I've done that on all the flowers. So we've just got the leaves to go, and then we'll start the background. The background's going to be fairly quick, so we should be right with that. Now with this one, we're going to start on the leaves. So I'm using G29, and I'm just going to go and I'm going to line all of these middle parts of the flower, leaving the middle part white for now. And I'm just going to put in a couple of shadow areas around the flowers as well there. So I'll do that first. So bringing that same colour in, I'm going to feather the sides of each leaf. So you can see what I mean by feathering there is I'm just bringing little lines in from the edge, and I'm then lining the whole vein that's already there. So we're going over the drawn line that's already there, and we're just feathering in towards the middle of each of those leaves there. So just small little flicks using the very tip of my marker, and I'm just bringing it in from that edge. We're also going to come out from the middle stem or spine part, and we're going to flick out from the middle as well. So I've done that on the top one there, just gone in from the middle, and I'm flicking out. You might have to turn your picture around and things so you get a good angle to do them on, because sometimes it's easy to do them on the angle that you're going in and things like that. So just switch your page around and just gently flicking in some very small thin lines from the edge of the leaf and then coming out from the middle out. Okay, so we're coming in with G28, and I'm just doing exactly the same thing over the previous lines that we've done. I'm coming out further into the middle of that side of the leaf, on the outside of the leaf, and then coming back towards the inside of the leaf as well. So it just started raining here, so it's very, very noisy here in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. Typical weather. So I'm sorry if you can't hear over the rain there. So we're now going to bring in G85, and we're going to go over and do exactly the same thing that we did on the previous times. So we're also going to colour the bigger flowers leaves with the same colour. I just thought I'd start with these ones just to show you what I'm doing, and then you can just go ahead and do the others. So just bringing this colour into the highlight area, but I'm still leaving a slight little gap there on each of the leaves to add in the last colour. So I'm going to blend all this out with G21, and I'm just going to go over the top of that same details that I've just done and just blend that in again. So just going over the top of that now. Now I'm going to do the spiny parts of the leaf. I'm going to do exactly the same thing as I've done. So I'm going to start with my dark colour, which was the G29. I'm just going to line the right hand side of the leaf, of the spine there, just nice and thin. And then I'm going to blend that out with the next colour, which was G28. Then I'm going to come in with G85. We're just going to go over that again. So I've left a little gap for G21. And I'm just going to do that right on the light edge of it. And then I'm going to come back in and I'm going to deepen up the shadows and the sides of the leaves again. So I'm going to bring that G29 in. I'm going to line those leaves and the shadow areas again, and I'm going to use the little flicks again just to put a little bit more depth into it, and so that you can see the detail more on each of those leaves. So I'm going to go ahead and go from this colour out to the lightest colours now. Go ahead and do that. So we'll start on the big leaves again in a moment, just finishing off the details on these ones here. So the big leaves, we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to start with our darkest colour, which was G29, and then we'll go to G28, and then we'll continue on to 85 and then down to 21. So we're going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to ignore the little spots on the bigger leaves at this stage. I'll come back in later and we'll fix them up. So just starting again now on the bigger leaves from the darkest colour. I'm just going to go ahead and do this now. So follow along or pause the video so you can get yours done. But yeah, I'll just finish this one off and I'll come back. So I'm going to do 2 coats, so we'll go back over and darken up those areas again. You can really see now there's a shine and a bend on the leaves. So we're just deepening up these shadow areas now. Okay, so we're going to bring in some V99 and we're just going to put those little dots around the edges there. I'm just going to pop some of this in each of those. So all the leaves are done and the flowers are done now. It's looking really good. So I'm just going to finish this off, and then we're just going to finish off and do our finishing parts of the picture with our white gel pen. Make sure we've got all our shiny parts that we wanted shiny. I've got a few dots to put on the leaves and things like that. So I'll come back in and do that in a sec. I'm going to put little white dots on all of those outside parts as well. So I'm doing the leaves now. I've also added some, so on the leaves, the big ones have already got dots there, so I've just followed those dots. And on the little ones, I've actually just added a couple of extra in to marry it up. And then I'm going to put some little white dots on the outside red ones that I've just done as well. So I'll go ahead and finish that off now. Just want you to remember that this is your own image and you can sort of add whatever details that you want. The more detail you have, the more complex the picture is. Sometimes I think the better it is, sometimes simple is better. But it is up to you. It's your own individual choice on where you want to go. But we've finished up this picture now, and I'm just going to do some background. I chose a really, really pale blue because I have a refill of this particular one. So you could choose any colour you want. You don't have to use Copic markers. You could use some beautiful pastel colours, watercolour, anything that you want to fill out the background. I've just chosen this pale green, which is BG40, and I'm about to just pop that in now. So I'm going to do it all around underneath her shoulders there and all the way up and around her hair. So I'm not doing any other colour with this, just this particular colour. So I'm just using the chisel tip on most of it. On the finer detailed areas, I've used the other end of the marker to get in the smaller crevices. But yeah, just going along, and I'm just really just scribbling it in. Some places I've gone over it again because it looked a little bit patchy, but pretty much this is all I've done, just scribbled all over the background. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now in fast motion there for you, and we'll be done. Okay, so we're almost finished that one now. So I just want to thank Hanna Karlzon for her beautiful books. She has many different books. I have the Magical Dawn one, but there are others I have seen. But yeah, they're beautiful pictures. Most images in there of people are women, and they're just gorgeous pictures. I love them. Hopefully you guys really enjoyed this session, and I hope to have you along to many others that I do have. Just want to thank you again for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed and you want to receive notifications when I do upload, please subscribe and pop in to get notifications so that you can see our beautiful tutorials. Also, just to let you know, we do have that Facebook group, so if you want to ask any questions or you have any suggestions or you want to give some feedback, I'm happy to hear that. You can jump into our Facebook group. Also, you can follow me on Instagram. And I think that's everything I'm done now. So hopefully you enjoyed today, and thanks again for listening, and see you next time.